I'd like to talk with you about leaves of absence. If you or a family member suffers from a serious health condition that requires you to miss work, you may have a legal right to take a leave of absence under the Family and Medical Leave Act, or FMLA. You may also be entitled to a leave of absence under the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, if you suffer from a disability. The FMLA protects individuals who suffer injuries or illness that require them to miss up to 12 weeks of work, and individuals who suffer from chronic conditions that require them to miss work on an intermittent basis, and persons who need maternity leave. The FMLA also protects individuals who need to take time off of work to care for loved ones or family members with serious health conditions. In order to be eligible for FMLA leave, you must work for a company that employs 50 or more people, and you must have been employed by that company for at least 12 months. In order to apply for FMLA leave, you must follow your employer's written guidelines, which may require you to submit a particular form or to call a particular person or telephone number. If your employer does not have any written guidelines for requesting FMLA leave, then you need only inform your supervisor of your need for leave. But be careful. You must also comply with your employer's requirements for calling off of work, such as calling a hotline or telling a particular person that you'll be absent. You may also still be required to call a certain amount of time before your shift begins, if possible. Be sure to consult with your employee handbook or posted FMLA guidelines to understand your employer's requirements. You should also consult with your Human Resources Department, but pay special attention to any written rules or policies, because those are the ones that will control in the event of a disagreement. Under the ADA, you do not need to have been employed for a certain amount of time, and your employer does not need to have 50 employees. However, the ADA only protects you if you need leave for your own disability. If you have a disability that requires you to work a reduced schedule or to take a longer period of leave, make sure you tell your employer about your disability and your need for a reduced schedule or leave of absence. Also, make sure you comply with your employer's rules for notifying it of absences. After you request leave, your employer may require you to have a physician complete a certification form establishing that you in fact need a leave of absence. Your employer must give you at least 15 days to return that form. But do not waste any time. Doctors are often busy and do not fill out forms as quickly as you may want them to. It is your responsibility to return the form to your employer on time and complete it, and your doctor's delay is not an excuse. So make sure you get the form filled out and returned to your employer. And if your doctor's office tells you that it sent the form to your employer directly, be sure to call your employer to confirm. Doctors often don't fill out the required forms completely or correctly. Be sure to review the form yourself and ask your employer if it has everything it needs from the form to grant you the leave you've requested. If you are eligible for leave under either law, your employer must grant you time off to undergo treatment or to recover. Under the FMLA, the employer must give you up to 12 weeks of leave, and under the ADA, your employer may be required to give you a leave of absence for a year or even more. Under both laws, your employer must return you to the same position you held when you left, or under the FMLA, an equivalent position. Your pay and benefits also cannot be reduced. If you've been denied leave or been suspended, terminated, or otherwise mistreated while on a leave of absence, or shortly after returning from a leave of absence, you should immediately consult with an attorney who specializes in Ohio employment law in order to protect your rights.